Absolutely, yes.
That's one of only 2 phones I've ever dropped that broke as a result of the drop. I got out of a taxi in New York City, and it's this clamshell phone or whatever.
Yeah.
So in one very graceful motion, phones kind of tend to slide out your pocket. I stepped out of the cab, it landed on the curb, and I stepped on it and snapped it backwards over the curb, all in one very impressive move that I couldn't even duplicate today if I tried. Broke it right.
That's painful. That hurts. Yeah. Although, in retrospect, must have been kind of satisfying. Unless you actually really loved the phone. I'm sure it was depressing at the time. But
I had it for a while, but yeah, it was pretty sad.
Do you, and I only asked this because over the weekend I had the Huawei Honor 8, and it slipped out of my pocket, and sure enough, it cracked the glass on the back. Do you drop a lot of devices? I mean, you're playing with devices all the time. I have to imagine it just happens, right?
I mean, yeah, I've had the device like slide out my pocket in a car or slide out my pocket and like onto a carpet or something. The only one I've ever dropped and broken is the first Moto X, which I dropped after I reviewed it. So
good. For
all the devices and things that I do play with, like you're right, there's a lot of tech that gets through my hands, but none of it's actually broken, so that's pretty awesome.
I don't know what you're doing differently than I am. I think my pockets are just too shallow or something.
Something about pockets.
Yeah, it really is. You know, do they hang down or do they whatever? So also when you were younger before and now, you know, obviously this is a big deal. Continues to be a big deal. Ultimate Frisbee. You got into Ultimate Frisbee in the 8th grade, and I believe this is before you, or maybe it's concurrently, right about the time you started doing video. Did they happen about the same time?
Ultimate was definitely before it. So okay. I started playing Ultimate right before high school, and I was a couple of years into that, and I started my channel like somewhere around the middle of high school. But yeah, I've been playing since right before I knew I wanted to play on my high school's team. I knew they had a team before I went as a freshman. I tried out immediately as a freshman. They had a varsity team and a JV team, so I played for the JV team my freshman and sophomore year, and then I played for the varsity team my junior and senior year.
Wow. That is super cool. And so of course, I mean, these are, you know, the earlier days. Now you're playing for the New York Rumble. It's the Major League Ultimate. So you're also, on top of being a super successful YouTube tech reviewer, you are a professional Ultimate Frisbee player. That is awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. The sport is still relatively young. I mean, it started, fun fact, at the high school I went to in the 1960s, so it's a less than 50-year-old sport as of right now. But it's kind of like where I see lacrosse a couple years ago, where people are starting to hear of it. They see it once in a while on Sports Center. They realize that athletes are playing it, and it's really fun to watch. So I think that's going to be something a lot of people figure out about pretty soon.
Yeah, and you were named, by the way, Defensive Player of the Year for your conference, so congratulations. That was this year. That was actually just a couple of months ago.
Thank you, yeah.
That's awesome. So so you're doing these two pretty incredible things. Most people would hope to do just one very incredible path, but, you know, you're following two awesome paths. How do they play off of each other? I mean, you know, it's got to take a lot of time out of your life to devote to be good at both at the level that you are. Are they complementary in any ways?
That's a good question. I don't know if they're complementary. They're definitely both pretty rooted in hard work, but for the most part, as far as time management goes, it's like Ultimate is like a weekends thing. Every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, including this past weekend, it's like 2 completely full days of playing, whether it's tournament play or whatever we're doing. And then when I was in school, it was also like the Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning practices, so you get up early. So I guess that whole discipline sort of makes you more focused, and whatever you want to say, being an athlete can help you outside of the field. But I can't think of like a direct tie between the two, but they're definitely both things I enjoy.
Yeah, like I have to imagine, I mean, if I was to think about I think this is basically what you said. If I was to think about what it takes in order to be good at both, it takes discipline and it takes focus. And so, you know, possibly being good at one in that regard sharpens those tools for the other, and they work side by side. That's just really impressive.
Yeah.
So then kind of moving into the world of YouTube, you got your first video. Everybody always talks about your first video, of course, because that's an obvious place to start, right? You're 15 years old. You put your first video up on YouTube. It was a review of the HP Pavilion DV17 Media Center remote. What pushed you to do this? Like, you just knew that a platform called YouTube existed, and you're like, I want to put video out there. Let's just do this thing right here.
Yeah, so for a little bit before I made that first video, I had this other little channel. I don't even remember what it's called, but I don't know if it was the same channel, but I uploaded these random videos of like indoor soccer, of like, you know, just critique what I was doing, see if anyone cared and would comment on improvements I could make, just to use the internet as a mass crowdsourcing version of like a coach watching you play.
Yep.
And then I was like, all right, that's dumb. It got deleted. And then later, I came back to that channel, and I was like, YouTube is still pretty interesting. And at that point, it would take me like lots of watching all these videos to decide which laptop to buy. So I'd watched, you know, the 2 or 3 videos on like CNET's YouTube channel about HP laptops, and then a couple other laptops on other various channels I'd found, all of it on YouTube, to make my decision. So I come back around to actually buying the laptop, and now I'm kind of in this unique position where I own the laptop and not many people are also talking about it. So maybe I can share, if someone's in the same position, they want to buy a laptop, they'll have more information to choose from by knowing about this one. So I was like, all right, I'll make a video about this little remote that comes in the PCI slot. I'll make a video about the software that comes on it. I'll make a video about the screen, the keyboard, the accessories, the cooler I bought for it, all these sorts of things. So you can basically put yourself in my shoes like you already own it, see if you like it or not. So that's why I made that video, and like the next 70 videos for those things related to the laptop.
How does it feel to go back and watch that now? I mean, obviously, times have changed a lot.
Yes, times have changed, but the intention is still there. It's still to put yourself in the buyer's shoes. You've already bought something, and now you're experiencing using it instead of just thinking about what it might be like.
Yeah. Do you, like, I know if I go back, you know, when I was a kid, I did a lot of like audio and video recording and everything, and to go back, like, I recognize the importance of it because it helped kind of pave the road that I traveled. But then at the same time, I have this tinge of like embarrassment from witnessing me in that insecure time of my life. Do you feel that when you watch these videos?
Not only the first video, but like anything more than like 3 weeks old, I feel like that. Because I feel like the latest version of yourself is always the most savvy version of yourself versus what you were doing in the past. So even things that were your best possible work 4 months ago, you may look back at that and be like, oh, why didn't I think of this other thing I should have been doing? Or why did I make that mistake? Or why did I not light this or color this way? Blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I do definitely look back and feel like, you know, I don't regret any of it. I'm glad I did it, and I wouldn't change it for a thing. But, yeah, there's definitely the embarrassment of looking at your older self.
For sure.
Or younger self.
I mean, you're your own best critic. And if you're looking back even 3 or 4 months ago on videos that, you know, you can find the ways that you would improve those. I mean, that's basically how you hone your craft.